Hey Fluent Minds, what's up? Welcome to the channel where we upgrade your mind and master English through the world's most powerful and honest books. No boring lessons, no translations, just clear, immersive English to build your vocabulary, sharpen your thinking, and actually change your life. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications. We drop deep masterclasses like this every week, and they're designed to give you real value. Today we're doing the full breakdown of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Manson. The book that sold millions because it tells the truth. Stop caring about everything, start caring about the right things. Life is full of problems, suffering is inevitable, but you can choose better problems and live with purpose. We'll cover the book in 10 detailed parts, the 9 chapters plus a recap and language masterclass at the end. No fluff, just raw ideas. Let's jump in with Part 1. Part 1. Don't Try, The Feedback Loop from Hell and the Subtle Art Explained, Chapter 1. Part 1. Don't Try. This is the foundation of the entire book, and Manson hits hard from the first page. Let's start with the story that opens everything. Charles Bukowski. Bukowski was a disaster for most of his life. He was an alcoholic, got fired from almost every job he had, his writing was rejected hundreds of times, he lived in poverty, he was depressed, angry, and basically a mess. People told him to try harder, to be positive, to visualize success, to follow the self-help rules. But he did the opposite. In his 50s, he decided to stop trying to be someone he wasn't. He stopped caring about being successful in the way society defined it. He started writing exactly what was inside him. Ugly, raw, honest stories about failure, pain, drinking, and the dark side of life. No filters, no pretending. And that's when things changed. Publishers started accepting his work, he got recognition, he became a legend. On his gravestone it says, "Don't try." Not because he gave up on life, but because he stopped forcing himself to be something fake. He accepted who he was and let the truth do the work. This story sets up the main idea of the book. The desire for more positive experiences is itself a negative experience. Think about that for a second. The more you desperately want to be happy, the more you notice when you're not happy. The more you obsess over success, the more failure hurts. The more you try to avoid pain, the more pain controls you. This creates a vicious cycle that Manson calls the feedback loop from hell. Here's how it works in detail. You feel unhappy about something. Maybe your job is boring, your relationship is struggling, you don't have enough money, or you're just not where you thought you'd be in life. So you tell yourself, I need to be positive. I need to change this. You read self-help books, watch motivational videos, post affirmations on social media. But things don't change right away. You still feel bad. Now you feel worse because you're not positive enough. You're failing at being happy. So you hate yourself for failing, which makes you even more unhappy. The loop keeps spinning faster and faster. And in 2026, this loop is everywhere. Social media is the biggest amplifier. You scroll through Instagram or TikTok and see everyone's curated life. Perfect bodies, dream vacations, luxury cars, happy couples, successful careers. You compare yourself. Why not me? You try harder, post more, edit photos, fake enthusiasm, buy things to look successful. But the comparison never ends. You feel like a failure. The pursuit of positivity makes you more negative. The feedback loop from hell is real and it's exhausting millions of people right now. Manson says the solution isn't more positivity. It's acceptance. Accept that life sucks sometimes. Accept that you're not always going to feel good. Accept that pain is part of the deal. And then, focus your energy on what actually matters. This leads to the subtle art of not giving a FCK. But Manson is careful to explain what it really means. It's not about becoming a cold, apathetic person who doesn't care about anything. That's not the point. Not giving a FCK is about being comfortable with being different. It's about saying no to things that don't align with your values so you can say yes to the things that do. It's about protecting your limited energy and attention. He breaks it down into 3 subtleties. Subtlety number 1, not giving a FCK does not mean indifference. Indifference is, I don't care about anything. Not giving a FCK is, I'm comfortable being different. You're okay if some people don't like you, if you're not popular, if you don't fit in. You're prioritizing your own path. Subtlety number 2, to not give a FCK about adversity or pain, you must first give a FCK about something more important than the adversity. For example, a mother doesn't care about the pain of childbirth because the baby is more important. An entrepreneur doesn't care about rejection because the business idea is more important. Find your bigger why, a value, a goal, a person that's bigger than the pain. Subtlety number 3, you're always choosing what to give a FCK about, whether you realize it or not. Children give a FCK about everything: candy, toys, attention, every little thing. As adults, maturity means becoming selective. You decide what deserves your energy. Let me repeat that: you're always choosing. Every day, every hour, you're deciding what to care about. The question is, are you choosing consciously, or are you letting society, social media, or old habits choose for you? Practical takeaway from this chapter: stop right now and think about your life. What are you giving too many F***CKs about that doesn't deserve it? Opinions of strangers online? What your coworkers think of your outfit? Worrying about things that might happen in the future? These are energy thieves. Action step: tonight or tomorrow morning, make a short list. Write down 3 things you truly care about, things that matter to you deep down. Maybe your health, your family, learning new skills, building something meaningful, or growing as a person. Then, consciously decide to give fewer F***CKs about the rest for the next week. Notice how much lighter you feel. Notice how much more energy you have for the things that actually count. Manson quote to remember: the desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. And paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. Accept the bad moments and real positivity starts to appear naturally. Another quote: to not give a FCK about adversity, you must first give a FCK about something more important than adversity. This chapter is powerful because it goes against everything the self-help world tells you. Most books say, try harder, be more positive, visualize success. Manson says, don't try so hard, be honest, accept reality, choose wisely. In a world full of filters, hustle culture, and endless comparison, that's liberating. Have you ever been stuck in the feedback loop from hell? Maybe scrolling late at night, feeling worse with every post? Comment below, I'm in the loop, or what F***CK am I dropping today? Let's talk about it. Part 2, Happiness is a Problem. Problems never end, they just upgrade. Chapter 2. Part 2, Happiness is a Problem. This chapter is where Manson really starts to flip everything upside down. Most self-help books tell you happiness is the goal: get rid of problems, be positive, manifest good vibes, and you'll be happy. Manson says, no. Happiness is not the absence of problems. Happiness is solving problems. And here's the kicker: problems never stop. They just upgrade. Let me say that again because it's huge. Problems never go away. They just change form. When you're young, your problems are basic: school, friends, pocket money, fitting in. You solve those and new problems show up: career, money, relationships, health, meaning. Solve money problems? Now you have what's my purpose in life? Problems. Solve relationship problems? Now you have kids, parenting, long-term compatibility, or career family balance problems. The point is growth. Better problems mean a better life. Manson introduces his alter ego, Disappointment Panda. A character who shows up in the book to deliver the harsh, disappointing truths that no one wants to hear but everyone needs. Disappointment Panda doesn't sugarcoat. He says life is suffering, and trying to avoid suffering is what makes it worse. What? Because suffering is biologically useful. Pain is nature's built-in mechanism to force change. If touching a hot stove didn't hurt, you'd keep your hand there and burn it off. Emotional pain works the same way. It pushes you to fix what's broken in your life. If losing a job didn't hurt, you might stay stuck forever. If heartbreak didn't hurt, you might never learn what you really want in a partner. Avoiding pain at all costs leads to stagnation, numbness, and a life that feels empty. Manson makes a clear distinction between bad problems and good problems, and it all comes down to your values. Bad values create trivial, meaningless suffering. Pleasure-seeking, chasing endless highs, dopamine from apps, food, sex, shopping, material success, more money, bigger house, status symbols, always being right, defending your ego at all costs, forced positivity, pretending everything is fine no matter what. These values lead to shallow problems: fear of missing out, jealousy over someone's Instagram, constant disappointment when the high fades, endless chasing without fulfillment. Good values create meaningful suffering. Honesty, facing uncomfortable truths about yourself, curiosity, learning, exploring, failing, trying again, vulnerability, opening up in relationships, risking rejection, building real connections, deep friendships, love, contribution to others. These problems hurt, conflict, rejection, self-doubt, hard work, but they lead to real growth, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Let me give you an example to make it concrete. Imagine two people with different values. Person A values looking cool and being popular. Their problems are superficial: fear of embarrassment, anxiety about likes on posts, jealousy when someone else gets attention. Their suffering is constant but shallow. Person B values building deep, authentic relationships. Their problems are deeper: having difficult conversations, dealing with conflict, risking heartbreak, investing time and emotion. The pain is real, but the reward is real intimacy, trust, and meaning. Which suffering would you rather have? The shallow pain that never ends, or the meaningful pain that builds something lasting? Quote from Manson: "Happiness comes from solving problems. The solution to one problem is merely the creation of the next one." Another quote: "The avoidance of problems is the avoidance of growth." In 2026, this idea is more relevant than ever. We live in a world of quick fixes, apps for everything, instant gratification, endless scrolling for dopamine hits. We avoid real problems by distracting ourselves. We scroll instead of facing our anxiety. We binge Netflix instead of fixing our relationships. We buy things instead of dealing with emptiness. But Manson says stop running. Choose your struggles. Choose pain that's worth it. Practical takeaway from this chapter: do an audit of your current problems right now. Grab a pen or your phone notes. List your top 5 problems: money, work, relationships, health, whatever is stressing you. Then ask yourself, are these problems trivial or meaningful? Are they caused by bad values, pleasure, status, avoidance, or good values, growth, honesty, connection? What better problems could I choose instead? For example, if your big problem is, I don't have enough followers on Instagram, that's a trivial problem from a bad value, status. A better problem might be, how can I create content that helps people and builds real connections? The pain is still there: time, effort, possible criticism, but it's meaningful. Try this. For the next week, consciously choose one meaningful problem to focus on instead of avoiding it. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with someone, starting a new habit, or facing a fear. Feel the pain, solve it step by step, and notice how much more alive you feel. This chapter is a game changer because it stops the endless chase for no problems and replaces it with better problems. Happiness isn't out there waiting when everything is perfect. Happiness is in the process of solving things that matter to you. Have you ever solved a really hard problem and felt more alive afterward? Comment below. Share one problem you upgraded or one meaningful struggle you're proud of. Part 3. You Are Not Special, Entitlement and the Victim Mentality, Chapter 3. Part 3. You Are Not Special. This chapter is brutal, and that's why it's so necessary. Mark Manson goes straight for the throat of one of the biggest lies we've been told since childhood: that you're special, unique, and destined for greatness just because you exist. Back in the 1960s and 70s, psychology pushed this idea hard: the self-esteem movement. Parents, teachers, coaches, everyone said you're special. You're amazing. You can be anything. Sounded good, but it backfired. It created a generation, and now generations, full of entitlement. People who think the world owes them happiness, success, respect without earning it. Manson breaks entitlement into 2 main types. I'm awesome and the rest of you suck, so I deserve special treatment. This is the narcissistic type. They believe they're inherently better, so life should bend for them. When it doesn't, they get angry, blame others, and stay stuck. I'm terrible and the world hates me, so nothing I do matters. This is the victim mentality. They see themselves as uniquely cursed, so they don't try. Everything is someone else's fault: society, parents, luck, the system. Both types are delusional and both lead to the same misery. The truth Manson hammers home: you're not special. You're not exceptional by default. You're average just like most people. And that's okay. In fact, it's freeing. Recognizing your ordinariness removes the pressure of being extraordinary all the time. It lets you focus on what you can actually control: your choices, your actions, your values, instead of waiting for the universe to hand you a trophy. Specialness isn't something you're born with. It's something you create through consistent choices. It's in the small, boring things. Showing up every day, being honest even when it's hard, treating people with respect, learning from failures. That's where real specialness comes from, not from being chosen or gifted. Manson shares a powerful personal story to illustrate this. He talks about a friend named David who was dying of cancer. David was young, full of life, and he knew his time was short. Instead of raging against the unfairness or playing victim, he accepted it. He said something like, "Suffering isn't a VIP club, we're all in the mosh pit. Everyone suffers. Everyone dies. No one is exempt. Feeling uniquely victimized doesn't make your pain special, it just makes it heavier." This ties back to the book's core. Entitlement makes suffering worse. When you think you're special, every setback feels like a personal attack from the universe. "Why me?" becomes, "This isn't fair." And that anger blocks growth. But when you accept that suffering is universal, you can stop fighting it and start learning from it. In 2026, this entitlement is everywhere, amplified by social media. Everyone's a creator, an influencer, a boss babe. People post their wins and hide their losses, creating the illusion that success is normal and failure is rare. You see someone with 1 million followers and think, "I should have that too." When you don't, you feel entitled to it, or victimized because you don't. Both reactions keep you stuck. Quote from Manson, "Entitlement is an epidemic." Another key idea: the self-esteem movement promised that high self-esteem would solve everything. But research shows the opposite. People with inflated self-esteem are often more fragile, more aggressive when challenged, and less resilient. Real confidence comes from competence, from doing hard things and surviving, not from being told you're amazing. Practical takeaway from this chapter: stop waiting to feel special before you act. Accept that you're ordinary in most ways, and that's fine. Then, focus on becoming extraordinary in the few things you choose to care about. Action step: look at your life today. Where are you acting entitled? Maybe you're procrastinating because things should be easier, or you're angry at someone because they should treat me better. Flip it. Ask, what can I control here? What choice can I make right now? Own it. Stop the victim narrative. For example, if your job sucks, instead of "this company should promote me," think, "What skills can I build to make my next move?" Shift from entitlement to responsibility. This chapter hurts because it pops the bubble we've lived in. But once the bubble pops, you breathe easier. No more pressure to be the chosen one. Just the freedom to be a normal person who makes good choices. Have you ever felt entitled to something you haven't earned? Or caught yourself in victim mode? Drop a comment, "I was entitled about." Or, "I'm dropping the victim story today." Sharing it helps make it real. Part 4. The Value of Suffering. Choose Your Pain Wisely, Chapter 4. Part 4. The Value of Suffering. Alright, we've talked about not trying too hard, accepting problems as part of happiness, and dropping the idea that you're special. Now, Manson dives deeper into suffering itself. This chapter is all about understanding that suffering isn't something to run from, it's something to choose wisely. The question isn't, how do I avoid suffering? Because you can't. The question is, why am I suffering? For what purpose? Manson argues that suffering is inevitable. Life is full of pain, physical, emotional, mental. But the key is the reason behind it. Suffering without meaning is torture. Suffering with meaning is growth. And the meaning comes from your values. Let's break this down. Values are the lens through which you see the world. They're the standards you use to judge what's good or bad, important or not. Bad values lead to bad suffering, the kind that's destructive, endless, and pointless. Good values lead to good suffering, the kind that's constructive, temporary, and leads to better things. What are bad values? Manson lists a few big ones. Pleasure as the ultimate goal, chasing highs from food, sex, drugs, shopping, likes. It feels good now but leaves you empty later. Material success, more money, status, possessions, it's never enough and it ties your happiness to things outside your control. Always being right, defending your ego, arguing to win, it isolates you and blocks learning. Staying positive at all costs, forcing smiles when things suck, it suppresses real emotions and leads to explosion later. These values create problems that suck you in. For example, if your value is material success, your suffering is, "I don't have enough," and you chase more but the goalpost moves. You end up stressed, jealous, and unfulfilled. Good values are different. They're reality-based, grounded in truth, not fantasy, socially constructive, they help others or society, not just you. And immediate/controllable, you can act on them now without waiting for luck. Examples: honesty, being truthful with yourself and others, even when it's uncomfortable. Innovation and creativity, trying new things, failing, learning. Vulnerability, opening up, risking rejection for real connections. Responsibility, owning your actions and their outcomes. These values create suffering that's worth it. For example, if your value is vulnerability, your suffering might be the pain of opening up in a relationship and getting hurt. But that pain teaches you, strengthens you, and leads to deeper bonds. Manson introduces the self-awareness onion, a metaphor for peeling back layers to understand your values. Layer 1. What happened, the event. Layer 2. How you feel about it, emotions. Layer 3. Why you feel that way, interpretation. Layer 4. What values cause that interpretation, core beliefs. You have to peel deep to change. He shares his own rock bottom. In his 20s he was traveling, partying, using drugs, chasing girls, all pleasure-based values. It felt fun, but it led to emptiness, depression, and a breakup that crushed him. He realized his suffering was from bad values, avoiding real connection, chasing highs. Peeling the onion showed him he needed to switch to honesty and responsibility. That shift changed everything. Quote from Manson: "If suffering is inevitable, the question is, why am I suffering? For what purpose?" Another: good values are reality-based, socially constructive, and immediate and controllable. Bad values are the opposite. In 2026, bad values are rampant. Social media pushes material success. Influencers showing off wealth, making you feel poor. Pleasure seeking through endless apps, binge watching, scrolling, online shopping. We avoid suffering with distractions, but it catches up. Manson says, choose your pain. Ask, what pain am I willing to endure? For example, want to be fit? The pain of workouts over the pain of poor health. Want a great career? The pain of learning skills over the pain of mediocrity. Want real love? The pain of vulnerability over the pain of loneliness. Practical takeaway: define your values. Make a list, top 5 values now. Rate them, good or bad. If bad, replace with good ones. Ask, what pain do I want in my life? Write it down. For 1 month, act on one good value daily. Feel the suffering but notice the purpose. This chapter empowers because it turns suffering from enemy to tool. You're not a victim of pain, you're the chooser. What pain are you enduring right now? Is it worth it? Comment below, my meaningful pain is, or I'm switching from bad value X to good value Y. Sharing helps solidify it. Part 5. You are always choosing, responsibility is freedom, Chapter 5. Part 5. You are always choosing. This chapter builds on everything so far: the acceptance of problems, the end of entitlement, the choice of suffering, and takes it to the next level. Mark Manson says you are always choosing. Always. Every moment, every day you're making choices about how you respond to life, what meaning you give to events, and how you act. And the biggest choice? Taking responsibility for your life. But Manson is careful to distinguish between fault and responsibility. Fault is about the past, who caused the problem. Responsibility is about the present, what you can do now. Fault is blame. Responsibility is power. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, the fault is theirs, they drove badly. But the responsibility is yours. How do you respond? Do you rage, honk, let it ruin your day? Or do you breathe, let it go, and focus on getting home safe? You can't control the fault, but you control the responsibility. Manson shares stories from his life and others to show how this works. He talks about people in horrible situations, abuse, poverty, illness, who take responsibility for their responses and turn things around. Not by blaming themselves for the fault, but by owning what they can change. Blame keeps you stuck. Responsibility sets you free. The victim mentality from Chapter 3 ties in here. When you blame others or circumstances, you're giving away your power. You're saying, I can't do anything. But Manson says you can always do something. Even if it's small, like changing your attitude or taking one step. Let me give a real-world example from 2026. Imagine you lose your job because of AI automation, common these days. Fault: the company, the tech, the economy. Responsibility: what now? Update your resume? Learn new skills? Network? Blame keeps you bitter on the couch. Responsibility gets you moving. Quote from Manson, "You are always choosing." Another, "With great responsibility comes great power." He flips the Spider-Man line. Choosing responsibility is radical. It means owning everything in your sphere. Your emotions? Yours. Your reactions? Yours. Your interpretations? Yours. Even in the worst situations, you choose the meaning. Manson explains how this applies to relationships. In a fight, you can't control what your partner says, but you control how you listen, respond, and what meaning you assign, e.g., "They're attacking me" versus "They're hurt and expressing it poorly." Taking responsibility doesn't mean taking fault. It means taking action. In today's world, with endless distractions and excuses, it's easy to avoid responsibility. Social media lets you blame the algorithm for your failures. Politics lets you blame the system. But Manson says stop. Own it. Freedom comes from responsibility, not from escape. Practical takeaway: practice radical responsibility. For every problem, ask, "What can I do?" Not, "Who's to blame?" Start small. Today, for one thing that's bothering you, list 3 actions you can take. Do 1. Notice the power shift. This chapter is liberating because it puts you in the driver's seat. No more waiting for life to fix itself. You choose. What's one area where you're avoiding responsibility? Comment below, "I'm taking responsibility for." Let's make it real. Part 6. You're wrong about everything, but so am I. Growth through uncertainty, Chapter 6. Part 6. You're wrong about everything, but so am I. This chapter is one of the most liberating in the book. Mark Manson says, "Certainty is the enemy of growth." The more certain you are that you're right, the less open you are to learning, changing, or improving. And guess what? You're wrong about a lot of things, and so am I. Everyone is. The key to a better life is embracing uncertainty and being willing to be wrong. Manson starts by explaining why certainty feels so good. Our brains love it. It reduces anxiety, gives us a sense of control. When we believe something strongly, we defend it like our life depends on it. We seek confirmation bias, ignore evidence against it, argue to win instead of to understand. But certainty closes doors. It stops curiosity. It kills growth. He shares stories from his own life to illustrate this. In his 20s, Manson traveled the world chasing enlightenment. He tried different philosophies, religions, lifestyles, all with the hope of finding the answer. He was certain that one path would fix everything. But every time he thought he found it, something went wrong. Failures piled up. Relationships ended. Depression hit. He realized the certainty itself was the problem. The more he clung to being right, the more miserable he became. Manson draws from Buddhism here, the idea of impermanence and non-attachment. Nothing is permanent. Your beliefs, your identity, your plans, they all change. Clinging to certainty causes suffering. Letting go and staying open allows growth. The big shift: growth is an endlessly iterative process. You try something, you're wrong, you learn, you adjust, repeat. Being wrong isn't failure, it's data. The people who improve the most are the ones who can say, "I was wrong," and mean it. Quote from Manson, "Certainty is the enemy of growth." Another, the more something threatens how you view yourself, the more you will avoid getting around to doing it. In 2026, certainty is everywhere. People on social media are certain about politics, health, success formulas. They defend their views like religion. Echo chambers make it worse. Algorithms feed you more of what you already believe. Uncertainty feels scary, so we double down. But Manson says, doubt is healthy. Question everything. Seek disconfirmation. Look for evidence that proves you wrong. That's how you evolve. The "do something" principle from earlier chapters ties in here. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. You don't need to be certain before you start. You start, get feedback, adjust. Certainty comes after action, not before. Practical takeaway: challenge one belief today. Pick something you're sure about. Maybe, "I'm bad at public speaking," or "This political view is 100% correct," or "I can't change this habit." Then actively look for evidence against it. Talk to someone who disagrees. Read an opposing article. Try the opposite action. Notice what happens when you allow yourself to be wrong. It hurts at first, but it opens up possibilities. Example: if you're certain, "I'm not good with money," test it. Track expenses for a week, read a simple finance tip, try one small change. If you're wrong, great, you grow. If not, you learn why. Either way, progress. This chapter is powerful because it removes the fear of being wrong. Being wrong doesn't make you stupid, it makes you human and growing. Have you ever been dead certain about something and then found out you were wrong? How did it feel? Comment below, I was wrong about. Sharing it makes the lesson stick. Part 7. Failure is the way forward, action over perfection, Chapter 7. Part 7. Failure is the way forward. This chapter shifts from mindset to action. Mark Manson says, failure isn't the end, it's the path. Most people avoid failure like the plague, waiting for the perfect moment, the right plan, or total certainty. But Manson flips that, action comes first. Failure gives feedback. Perfection is a myth that keeps you stuck. Manson explains how we fear failure because it threatens our identity. If I fail, I'm a failure. But failure is just data, what didn't work, what to adjust. The people who succeed the most are the ones who fail the most, because they act more. He shares stories to make it real. One is about his own writing career. He wrote hundreds of articles, most flopped. But each flop taught him. He kept going, adjusted, improved. Success came from the failures, not despite them. Another example, rejection therapy. Manson talks about people who deliberately seek rejection, asking for discounts, dates, favors they expect no to. It desensitizes you. Rejection loses power. You act more freely. The do something principle from earlier chapters expands here. Don't wait for motivation or certainty. Do something, anything, and let momentum build. Action creates motivation, not the reverse. Quote from Manson, failure is the way forward. Another, action isn't just the effect of motivation, it's also the cause of it. In 2026, fear of failure is huge. Social media shows only wins, hiding failures. People post polished lives, making failure seem abnormal. We hesitate. What if I post and no one likes it? What if I start a business and it flops? Manson says, so what? Fail fast, learn, iterate. Practical takeaway, start a failure ritual. This week, pick one thing you've been avoiding due to fear of failure. Do it small. If it fails, celebrate the data. Adjust and try again. For example, want to learn a skill? Don't plan forever. Do one small step today, like 10 minutes practice. Fail. Good, now you know what to fix. This chapter motivates because it turns failure from enemy to teacher. Act, fail, grow, that's the cycle. What's one failure that taught you the most? Comment below, my best failure was. Sharing turns failure into power. Part 8. The importance of saying no, boundaries and commitment, Chapter 8. Part 8. The importance of saying no. This chapter is short but sharp. It's all about commitment and boundaries. Mark Manson says, true commitment isn't saying yes to something, it's saying no to everything else. Most people think commitment means trying harder or doing more. But real commitment is rejection. When you say yes to one thing deeply, you're automatically saying no to 1,000 alternatives. That's where power comes from. Manson uses relationships as the main example. Healthy relationships require boundaries. You can't fix someone else's problems for them, that's codependency. Each person must take responsibility for their own life. When you try to save someone, you're avoiding your own pain or responsibility. He contrasts healthy versus toxic relationships. Healthy, both people solve their own issues, support each other without losing themselves. Saying no to bad behavior, no to endless drama, no to sacrificing your values. Toxic. One person tries to fix the other, or both avoid their own problems by focusing on the relationship. No boundaries equals resentment, burnout, explosion. The same applies to life in general. Want a great career? Say no to distractions, no to mediocre opportunities, no to people who drain you. Want real friendships? Say no to superficial ones. Want health? Say no to junk food habits, late nights, excuses. Saying no is hard because it means disappointing people, missing out, facing discomfort. But Manson says, the discomfort of no is the price of a meaningful yes. Quote from Manson, commitment is saying no to the things that don't align with your values. Another, the more you say no to the unimportant, the more yes you have for the important. In 2026, saying no is harder than ever. Notifications, social invites, endless content. everything pulls you in. People fear FOMO, fear of missing out, so they say yes to everything and end up exhausted. Manson says, embrace the FOMO. Miss out on the trivial to focus on the meaningful. Practical takeaway, practice saying no this week. Start small, say no to one unnecessary meeting, one bad habit, one draining conversation. Notice how it feels at first, guilty, anxious, then how it frees energy. Example, if a friend keeps complaining without changing, say no to endless venting sessions. I care about you, but I can't keep talking about this unless you take action. Boundaries protect your energy. This chapter shows that freedom comes from limits. Saying no isn't selfish, it's essential for real commitment. Where in your life do you need to say no more? Comment below, I'm saying no to. Let's own it. Part 9. And Then You Die, Legacy, Mortality and Meaning, Chapter 9. Part 9. And Then You Die. This is the final chapter of the book, and it's a powerful closer. Mark Manson confronts the ultimate reality we all avoid: death. He says death isn't something to fear or ignore. It's the thing that gives life urgency, meaning, and perspective. Without death, nothing would matter. Everything would be infinite and pointless. But because we die, every choice, every moment, every F*** we give counts. Manson talks about immortality projects, the ways we try to live forever through fame, kids, legacies, or achievements. We build companies, write books, have families, chase status, all to feel like we'll outlast death. But most of these are illusions. If they're based on bad values, ego, material success, being right, they fail. They leave you anxious, chasing shadows. Real immortality comes from honest, meaningful actions, things that impact others positively without needing recognition. He draws from Ernest Becker's The Denial of Death, how humans deny mortality, creating cultural immortality symbols like religion, politics, art. But denial causes neurosis. Facing death head-on, Memento Mori, remember you will die, frees you. It makes you prioritize. Why waste F***s on trivial stuff when time is limited? Manson shares his grandfather's story, a man who lived simply, helped others quietly, and died peacefully. No fame, no fortune, but a life of meaning through small acts. Contrast that with celebrities who chase immortality through spotlight. Many end miserable, addicted, alone. Quote from Manson, "Death is the only thing that gives life meaning." Another, "The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time." Quoting Mark Twain. In 2026, we deny death more than ever. Social media immortalizes us in digital form, posts, stories, AI recreations. But it's fake. We live longer with tech but avoid thinking about the end. Manson says, use death as motivation. Imagine your funeral. What do you want people to say? Honest impact, not superficial praise. Practical takeaway, practice Memento Mori daily. Set a reminder, I will die. Use it to choose better. Drop trivial F***s, commit to meaningful ones. Build legacy through values, kindness, honesty, growth, not ego. This chapter ties everything together. Choose F***s wisely because time runs out. Death makes the subtle art urgent. What would change if you knew you'd die tomorrow? Comment below, facing death-eyed. Let's reflect. Part 10, Final Recap and Language Masterclass. We've covered the entire book, from Don't Try to, and Then You Die. Now, let's tie it all together with a clear recap of the main lessons. Then move into the Language Masterclass to boost your English fluency with keywords, phrases, and expressions straight from Mark Manson's book. Final recap. It's about being comfortable with being different, protecting your limited energy, and focusing only on what truly aligns with your values. Drop the trivial stuff. Problems never end, they just upgrade. Happiness isn't the absence of problems. It's solving meaningful problems. Life is an endless series of challenges. The goal is to choose better ones. Pain that's constructive, tied to good values like honesty, growth, and connection. You're not special. And that's freeing. Entitlement, narcissistic or victim, makes you fragile. Accept that you're average in most ways. Specialness comes from your choices, not your birthright. Drop the pressure to be extraordinary in everything. Suffering is inevitable, choose your pain wisely. Ask, why am I suffering? Instead of, how do I stop? Good values create meaningful suffering, growth, vulnerability. Bad values create pointless suffering, pleasure-chasing, ego defense. Define your values. Pick pain worth enduring. You are always choosing. Responsibility is freedom. Fault is past blame. Responsibility is present power. Own your reactions, meanings, actions. Blame gives away control. Radical responsibility puts you in charge, even in the worst situations that you're wrong about everything, but so am I. Embrace uncertainty. Certainty kills growth. Be willing to be wrong. Seek disconfirmation. Action creates clarity. Growth is iterative. Try, fail, learn, adjust. Failure is the way forward. Perfection is a myth. Act first. Failure is feedback. Seek rejection to build resilience. Momentum comes from doing, not planning forever. Saying no is the key to real commitment. Commitment equals rejection of alternatives. Boundaries are essential. Say no to the unimportant so you can say yes to the important. Healthy relationships require self-responsibility, not fixing each other. And then you die. Death gives life meaning. Mortality creates urgency. Stop wasting time on fake immortality projects, fame, ego. Build real legacy through honest values and meaningful impact. Memento Mori, remember you'll die, to prioritize better. The book isn't about never caring. It's about caring better. Choose your struggles, take responsibility, act despite fear, set boundaries, and live knowing time is finite. That's the essence. Read the book if you haven't. It's raw, funny, and life-changing. Language Masterclass, English Fluency Boost from the book. Now, as promised, let's level up your English. Here are 12 powerful words, phrases, and expressions with explanations, pronunciation tips, example sentences, and how to use them naturally in conversations. Practice these out loud. They'll make your English sound more confident, honest, and native-like. Feedback loop, noun, a cycle where one thing causes another, which causes more of the first. Example, I'm stuck in a negative feedback loop with social media. I scroll, feel bad, scroll more to feel better, feel worse. Use it. Don't get trapped in that feedback loop of overthinking. Counterintuitive, adjective. Counterintuitive, opposite of what you'd expect. Example, it's counterintuitive, but accepting pain actually reduces suffering in the long run. Use it. The advice sounds counterintuitive at first, but it works. Entitlement, noun. Entitlement, belief that you deserve special treatment without earning it. Example, entitlement makes people angry when life doesn't go their way. Use it. Drop the entitlement. Nothing is owed to you. Radical responsibility, noun phrase, owning everything in your control, no excuses. Example, radical responsibility means I choose how I respond, even when it's not my fault. Use it. I'm taking radical responsibility for my happiness now. Hedonic treadmill, noun phrase, the tendency to return to a baseline happiness despite positive changes. Example, no matter how much money I make, I end up back on the hedonic treadmill. Use it. We get stuck on the hedonic treadmill chasing more and more. Memento Mori, Latin phrase, remember that you will die, used to motivate living fully. Example, Memento Mori keeps me focused on what really matters. Use it. Practice Memento Mori, it changes how you spend your time. Victim mentality, noun phrase, habit of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. Example, victim mentality keeps people stuck blaming others. Use it. I had to break out of the victim mentality to move forward. Do something principle, noun phrase, action creates clarity and motivation. Example, follow the do something principle, start small, then build. Use it. I love the do something principle, it beats waiting for motivation. Values hierarchy, noun phrase, the ranking of what matters most to you. Example, my values hierarchy puts honesty above comfort. Use it. Rebuild your values hierarchy around growth. Impermanence, noun, impermanence, the state of not lasting forever. Example, understanding impermanence helps you let go. Use it. Impermanence is scary, but it makes every moment count. Iterative process, noun phrase, repeated steps to improve gradually. Example, growth is an iterative process, fail, learn, repeat. Use it. Treat life as an iterative process, not a one-shot deal. Practice tip, pick 3 to 5 of these today. Use them in sentences out loud or in a journal. Try them in real conversations. They'll make your English more direct, confident, and natural. That's the full masterclass. If this resonated, like the video, subscribe for more breakdowns, and comment your biggest takeaway below. Which lesson hit hardest? Thanks for watching Fluent Minds. Upgrade your mind, master your English, and I'll see you in the next one.